Welcome to Creativity Focus, a live video podcast where we interview an artist and their art every single week. And today is no different. I have a very special guest, and you're going to fall in love with her work. But before we talk to her, a few announcements. So this is live for a reason. We love to have you here and we love your comments and questions. So at any point when you feel like asking a question to my guest or giving your 2 cents about the topic, why not do it? Whatever you're watching, there is either a comment box or a chat box close to you, either below the video or beside the video. So use that box to communicate with my guest, and I'll get here on my computer and I will be able to ask her directly so she can answer directly to you. Also, it's very important for us that you take a second and share this podcast. This is content only. Nobody is going to try to sell anything. So it's safe for you to put on your page, to put on groups that you belong to spread the word on social media. So if you take a second and do that, it makes a huge difference for us. As it does when you give us a like, some hearts, comments, because that's how social media decides, okay, should I be showing this to other people or not? So when you take that little second and you do that, it makes a huge impact in what we do here. Don't forget that we come every single week with a different artist, and the purpose of this podcast is really to show the world the amazing talent that we have out there and to promote these artists and their art. Okay, my guest today is Tiffany Flanagan. She's an amazing sculptor. She sculpts dogs. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you.
It's really cool to have you here. Do you mind if we show some of your sculptures so they can get more in tune with what you create?
No, please do. I would love that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to show you 3 or 4 pictures, and we would love you to tell us which medium you have sculpted that, and if there is any backstory or even interesting part of the process in that specific piece. Is that okay?
That's awesome.
Okay. So the first picture, I'm trying to guess which the breed. Oh, it's an armature.
Yes. Yep. So every sculpture that I do starts with an armature or some kind of internal structure.
And that's what you use.
Yes. So I use wire on some things. All of my animals have wire in them. Wire and tin foil. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So I use the tin foil to bulk up the body and put it where I want it to go.
Can you see this picture?
It's a little pixelated, but is it the horse?
It's the horse.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the unicorn. Yeah.
Oh, the unicorn.
So you can see this is a work in progress. So you can see that the tinfoil is on the bottom, and then I did the wire inside. I actually have that right here.
Oh, you have that horse there?
I have it. I brought it over just to show you.
That's cool.
Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see kind of. I actually used 2 types of material here. I used the polymer clay, so just a sculpty, beige. And then I used my other item that I use is called Magic Sculpt. Mm-hmm. And it's a 2-pot epoxy resin clay, and it hardens, it air dries. So it's super hard, it's super durable. So with this piece, I really wanted to make sure that the top get a lot of detail, and then the bottom is very stable and sturdy for shipping.
For shipping, so, okay, nice. Yeah. How big is this guy?
He's pretty big. So he's probably about I would say about 6, 7 maybe inches high.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's pretty big.
That's cool. And I want to show one of your dogs now.
Yeah.
So people can see. Okay. Can you see this guy?
Yes, I can. Yep. His name is Jake, and he actually passed away a couple of years ago, and the client wanted me to do a memorial of him. Now he's made out of polymer clay, the Sculpting. And he has the tin foil inside him, and yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
How long
It was very
ago did you sculpt this guy?
I actually just finished him. I brought him over too because I didn't know you would have a picture of him. So let me see.
That's very
So
good.
he's about,
Oh, nice size.
yeah. So yeah, he's a good size. And I just finished him yesterday or the day before. Um, so I usually can finish sculpting an animal probably within 2 days
Oh, from beginning to end?
from beginning to end.
Okay. We have a few comments here. Terry Morrison say hi from North Carolina. Beverly Martinez say hello from Australia. It's Wednesday morning there, 6:39, very early.
Awesome.
And Terry is asking, will you be doing a class at Curious Mondo? The answer is yes. I'll tell about that at the end. So Tiffany, tell me a little bit, how long ago have you started sculpting, and was polymer clay your first choice?
So actually, no, polymer clay was not my first choice. This polymer clay is fairly new for me. I actually picked up sculpting cake. So
Cakes.
I was yes. So I was a professional cake designer, and I did that for years and years. And I really enjoyed sculpting cakes and making big 3-dimensional crazy cakes. And then I so many hours go into cakes. And then what happened was I was working a lot of hours. I ended up getting into a car accident and broke my back, and then ended up picking up polymer clay while I was recovering. So everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. And yeah, it was a match made in heaven. I absolutely loved working with clay after that, and just never stopped. And what happened was I ended up going with clay full time and stopped doing cakes.
For
So,
how long did you do cakes?
oh my goodness, probably like 10 years. I've been doing it for quite some time. It was I started right after my son was born, and he's 12 now. He'll be 13. So
That's cool.
I started right after that. So
I want to
yeah,
show them one of your cakes because it's really amazing.
thank you.
It's a red dragon, I believe.
Yes.
Look at this.
Yeah. He was absolutely gorgeous to do. I really, really enjoyed him. He was actually a groom's cake that I did for the company that I was working for. And his wings, and you can see the paper was made out of rice paper.
Wow.
And the dragon on top was all Rice Krispie treats. So he was completely edible.
That's so cool. How long did it take you to create that?
So I started on the dragon. So the bottom, the book pot was one day. And then the dragon took me about probably 2 days to complete.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
he was a lot of
the
fun.
material that you use to sculpt the cake is, I was trying to remember the name. What do you use as the main component?
So for sculpting the cake, you have to make sure that it's a very dense cake to sculpt it. But then once you're sculpting the things that are on top of it, you would use fondant. So
Fondant, yes.
Or fondant or gum paste. Gum paste dries a lot harder than fondant does, but a lot of people you can't really eat gum paste. So.
And we were talking a little bit before we started doing the live streaming. How much would a cake like this sell for?
So depending on the business and where you're located, so it's all location. A cake like that would sell completely different in New York than you would in Rhode Island. So depending on that, but if you're buying it in Rhode Island, it would probably be around $700 to $800.
Now, we were talking also that the problem with this is you spent 2 days making this cake and it's gone with a bite.
Yeah, that's another reason why I actually moved towards sustainable artwork, is because I liked the idea of my art lasting for more than a weekend. You know what I mean? Or a couple of hours. So that cake took almost, how many hours? 72 hours of my life. And then it's gone within, that wedding. So mean, you'll always have the pictures, yes, but it's nothing
It's
like
not the
seeing
same
it in
thing.
person. Yeah.
So that jump for you, so from sculpting cakes to making sculptures to sell the finished piece as well, was it scary for you?
Oh, it was terrifying. And it was a jump that took years. I know a lot of artists that probably feel the same way. I get a lot of questions, when do you know is the right time to jump? And, how do I know? You don't know. You just have to, you believe that you can do it, and work hard and be open to what comes your way. I'm completely commission based, so I never know what comes my way. If I feel I can do it, I'll do it, and if not, then I know a lot of other artists that will be happy to help them. But the jump literally took years to do. But this year, I was like, I can do this. I'm confident enough. I have enough, I have enough background to allow myself to do this, and my family was totally on board, and yeah, and so I made the jump, and I'm completely happy. I'm It was the best thing I've ever done. So.
I believe so. Now, when you finally said, okay, this is the year, jump done, did you have a complete plan in your mind, what you had to do, not only how many sculptures you have to make, how you're going to sell, what's going to be your market? Did you have that, or you just trusted your guts?
I trusted my guts in a lot of things, but I also put a price cap on myself. So I said to myself, I have to at least make part-time pay. You know, if I can make part-time pay a week, then I'm good. If I make more than that, that's awesome. And I have a lot of awesome fans and support, and they've been helping me through the whole process. But if I was making, part-time pay, then I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I was booked up enough where it was allowing me to go ahead and be part-time pay.
That's cool. So before I ask you about your marketing and sales process, let's show a few more pieces that you create and the process that you used. Let's see, it's coming. So that's another dragon. That's not a cake, right?
No, that's not a cake. Nope. I actually have a lot of people. I've been commissioned to do a lot of cake. I mean, a lot of sculptures that look like the cake. So this one right here is made out of the dragon is out of polymer clay, and then the base is out of the magic sculpt.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Let's see another one. Yeah, your dogs are my favorite, by the way. I love dragons, but the dogs are really cute.
I know. I love them. They're so sweet. Again, he's made out of polymer clay, and for this one, I wanted to do something a little special for her. He was very fluffy, and the pictures that she gave me, I just couldn't do it without adding fluff, because he was so fluffy and had these big fluffy ears. So what I did was I just added a little bit of fake fur around the ears and around the little feet.
So normally you work the whole fur process on the polymer clay. This one you made an exception there.
Yeah,
but okay.
Exactly.
Very cool. Let's see one more. I think it's just Chihuahua, right? Or a pincher?
Yep.
Yes, Chihuahua.
Yep. He was so sweet. Little sassy guy. So again, polymer, it's all polymer clay. And then you just do different textures in the fur. And that's what I did for under his little neck.
That's very cool.
Under her little neck.
I love the direction of the fur, how you give. So do you use a specific scale for them or not?
So it has to fit on the base that I buy. So I buy like this particular base right here, I believe is 5 to 6 inches. So depending on what position the client wants, I'll make it so it fits onto the base.
Okay, let me show. I have I have that breed, so I want to show that one. Let me see. It's a Pomeranian, correct? Mine
Yes,
is
and
a
the client.
psychopath, by the way. It's called Mr. Oates.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, he was a lot of fun. But yeah, the client wanted them laying down, so I decided to go ahead and do that. And they had that little like, sassy.
Yes. Mine does
Uh,
that all the time. He
it's so
crosses the
funny.
legs like, I'm
I
so
know.
important.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's very
And I
cool.
wanted to portray that.
Tell me, give me an idea of how much you sell your dogs for.
So my dogs are all 200 plus shipping.
Okay.
Um, I'm planning on probably going up a little more next year. Not much though. And how my process works when it comes to clients is I do 50% down when booking, and then the final payment when it's done.
When it's done.
So
Nice.
yeah, and if clients have, if they need me to help them out with, payment plan or whatever, I'm always open to that. I feel like you have to be, especially what in this day and age.
Yes, yes. Bree Tree saying, hi ladies, the artwork is beautiful.
Thank you.
So, do you have a polymer clay that you use the most that is your favorite, or it doesn't matter to you?
No, I use the Sculpey.
The Sculpey
Um,
more?
yeah, and I'm trying to see if I have one over here. I don't. And it's the beige one. You can use the firm one. The firm one gets a lot of really nice detail. That's the gray one. But I just use the beige one. It comes in a big block
Yeah.
of I buy it in I think it's 8 pound. So I buy it there. And the way I can kind of estimate is it's one block per pup or
Okay,
cat.
okay, okay,
So
nice. That's cool. And you use paint. Is it a dry brush acrylic or do you use something else?
yes, no, I just use acrylic paint, any kind that you get in the hobby store, depends on what's your favorite brand. And then what I do when I'm painting is I do a base coat, and then on top of that, that's when I'll start adding layers. So I'll do a base coat, a wash, and then if I want it a little darker, I'll wash in other different spots. And then I will go in and then I'll start dry brushing the highlights.
That's cool.
At the very end is when you can go in and you can take a really fine brush and you can put in the little tiny hairs and get the
That's
little
very
details.
cool.
Yeah.
We have Noemi Smith. I don't know if you know her, but she's an amazing sculptor as well. And she does amazing pieces with polymer clay and air dry clay. Tiffany Flanagan, nice to see you here. Your voice is cute.
Thank you so much.
Now, Tiffany, you basically work with commissions, is that correct?
Correct.
So this is something interesting because a lot of artists actually hate taking commissions, right? They do every now and then, but it's not their favorite part. I'm sure it's not my favorite part. Tell me a little bit about you, about this.
Well, I feel like so I do all kinds of things. If a lot of people that follow me will see that I'm kind of all over the board as an artist. But I kind of stay within a certain genre. So a lot of my things are fantasy, horror, macabre, animals. So I kind of bring in that clientele. So a lot of people that are coming to me, are looking for fantasy art or animals. So when I'm commissioned to do animals, I absolutely love them and think they're adorable. So it doesn't bother me taking commissions. Now, I kind of schedule myself where it allows me a little time to do my own stuff, because I feel like as an artist, you can get very consumed by being overworked with commissions. And while that allows you to grow, but when you're doing a couple of your own pieces, it allows you to grow personally, you know what I mean, inside. So I'll do a couple of pieces here and there for myself. And I feel like you have to do that.
Yes, I think so too. That's fun. How many pieces a year do you usually make out of commission, for commission?
So this year I'm pretty much booked up, and I have probably close to 20 to 30 commissions going.
Going right now?
So
Wow.
yeah,
You're busy.
I'm very busy, and I tell people right out, I don't like to rush commissions, so it might take longer than estimated because I feel like everyone deserves their own time and their own, 100% of my time into that commission. So sometimes it might run a little over.
Especially because I think in the case of dogs, I know you take commission on other projects as well, but there is a high emotion involved with everybody's pets, right? So I think the responsibility is like, oh my gosh, it's their beloved pet.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, it can get stressful sometimes, and I just more on myself, like I want to make it where that personality comes out, so it's important for me to put the head right or put the little body postures right, you know what I mean? And I actually walk my clients through the entire process. So you'll see a lot of times on my feed, I'll be putting a lot of work in progress photos, and I'll also be sending those to the clients. So I like to have my clients involved at pretty much at all times, because if they see something that they don't like, I don't want them to tell me at the end where there's nothing I can really do about it. So I like to have them involved and, be along the ride. And they love that. They really enjoy that.
Yes, I bet. I'm going to show now a little guy that you have sculpted.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about him.
So he measured approximately 8 inches high, and he was for a client that wanted his father as a hobbit. So the family really loved the Hobbit, and there's a lot of backstory to them and that whole Hobbit scene. So he wanted me to go and do his father as a hobbit, and so that was really, really fun. So he gave me complete creativity, but there was a few things that he wanted. So he wanted he wanted the flower, he wanted the cane, he wanted certain things put in it. No matter how I put it in, he just wanted different things. So I was like, okay. And again, I walked him through the entire process. He absolutely loved that. The father was completely overjoyed by it.
That's cool.
And yeah, so now this guy, he actually is completely made out of the Magic Sculpt, which is the 2-pot resin epoxy clay. The only thing that is not is his face, because with the epoxy clay, you have a very short window to work in. So you have approximately 2 hours to work in, and you have to work fast. So I feel like putting pressure on myself for a 2-hour window for faces gets really, I don't like to do that. So I use the polymer clay for faces.
But what was your decision process to use the epoxy for the body instead of working with clay? Because it's a small figure. You said 8 inches, right?
Yeah, he was about this high. Okay. Yeah. I really like to work with the epoxy clay. If given a choice, I would work with the epoxy clay. But it's harder. So for me, it's more of a peace of mind that it's going to like completely be hard as a rock, and it's just fun to work with. I really enjoy it. And it doesn't, I don't have to bake it at a certain time and have to worry about, the temperatures. You just mix it up and done, and dries.
That's cool. I want to show some cats, just so cat lovers don't feel left out, because you also make several of those, right? Which are your favorites, your personal favorite, cats or dogs?
Well, I'm a huge cat lady. I love cats over pups, but it's just more of a personal preference. But I love doing dogs more than I do cats.
More than
cats
cats?
are harder. They're harder for me. It's hard to make their little beanie heads.
So we have one here that I think is a work in progress for you.
Yes. Yes. Yep. So as you can see, I used the Sculpey Firm with this particular one.
Okay.
And I believe I was bulking out the body. This is very rough. And then I was doing the eye placements because it's kind of important where you put the eyes.
Do you use glass eyes for your creatures?
I do not. I use ball bearings.
Oh,
So you
really?
can, yeah, because they don't, I really like them better when baking. So there are a lot of times where I've used like resin, like little beads, and it just wasn't
Not good.
great. So
Uh-huh.
I like the ball bearings, and they
That's
come in
cool.
so many different sizes, and they're very easy to get.
Uh-huh. That's very cool. Okay, we have a question here, guest 373. You use various different sculpting mediums. How do you determine per project what's the best to use?
So all of my animals are done in Sculpting. So they're the polymer clay. And the reason why I like that is because it does not give me a time constraint. So it allows me, there's plenty of times where I will get a certain pose and I'm not quite happy with it. Now, if I was using the epoxy clay, there's no going back. But with the polymer clay, because of course it doesn't harden until you bake it, there's a lot of room for movement. There's a lot of room for adjustment. So if I have a piece that I really know, needs adjustments, because there's a lot of times where I'll finish a pup and I just want his head tilted just a little bit. So in order to get that, like, hey mom, hey dad, look. So I will make sure that I don't bake it until I'm completely happy with it.
So do you usually, depending on the sculptor we interview, some sculptors, they like to work the whole time with the soft clay and bake once, and others they do in many batches.
Layers.
What's your
Yeah.
process?
My process is one and done. So my process is from start to finish. I will do it all, and then it gets baked at the same time. Now, a lot of different art, depending on what artist, everybody has their own process. For me, I always found it was harder to get the same consistency constantly baking multiple times because you're constantly baking the internal polymer clay. You're getting it back up to temperature. For me, I never had success with it, but that doesn't mean, someone can
Right.
totally have it down pat perfectly. So yeah, I just do one and done. Bake it when it's done.
That's good. That's kind of my motto too. We have another question. Do you ever struggle with having a sculpting block? If so, how do you deal with that and get past it?
Yes, all the time. There could be times where I'm just not feeling it. Everybody has those days. Everybody will have those weeks. Everybody will have those months. So the way I feel about it is I don't get mad about it. I walk away. I, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee. If I don't feel completely creative, I'll just rest because for me, it's more or less my brain needs a rest from that creative flow because I've been in it so much. So, but a lot of times, like, I will pick up a pen and paper and I'll start doodling, and or I'll start listening to like creative music. So I'll put on different brain waves music to help me kind of relax and boost my brain waves back into that flow. So, sometimes it just requires rest, to be honest with you. And don't be ashamed of that. That just is what it is. And if you're on a time constraint, then yes, that can be really not fun. And so you're going to have to get yourself back up into it and be like, it is what it is. I just got to work through it. But I always like to rest for at least, 15 minutes or so, just to kind of get
Let the
yourself back
brain
into
breathe,
it.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very tiring. And a lot of your followers will probably understand this. And you understand this. It's very exhausting to be an artist.
Yes.
It might not be exhausting on the body, but it's exhausting on the brain.
It
And
is.
it's very tiring. At the end of the day, you're tired.
And add that another layer that you are creating a piece for somebody else as well. In
Yeah.
this case, they know that they are going to get the piece, and there is all that responsibility that you have to make them happy at the end.
Yeah, and luckily I have amazing clients and I have amazing fans. But if there's someone who's very, very adamant about certain things, so there'll be people that say, "Oh, well, I want this particular piece to look exactly like I'm just using, for example, my daughter." Well, let's be honest, I'm not a portrait artist. So I'm not ashamed to tell them I'm probably not the best option for you. And then I will pass it on to someone else that is a great portrait artist, because portrait artistry is not my favorite. So if I feel like I have a very demanding client that is looking for something that looks exactly like, the
Then
person,
it's for
then
somebody else.
it's for someone else. And that's okay. I'll pass it along, and
That's
what
good.
goes around comes around. Yeah.
Terry is asking, what do you use to get accurate proportions on your animal sculpts?
So I have a book that I use, and I will bring this with me to the class. But I really like this dog encyclopedia. So I have a dog one and I have a cat one. And a lot of the animals that I do are either I'm just looking online at different examples, and then I completely eyeball it. There's no, if you can get a bone structure PDF, that would, or there'll be different like bone structures for different breeds of animals, then I would say totally go with that, because then you can make your armature to look like that particular breed. But sometimes you're not going to be able to find that, so you're going to have to completely eyeball it.
Is there a breed?
Usually it's right.
Is there a breed you don't like to sculpt?
I think they're all, I love to sculpt all of them, but I think the ones that are the harder ones for me are like the Chihuahuas.
The Chihuahuas.
Because they have that just like that round beanie head, and again, like the cats, they have that like just big head and like the big eyes. So for me, it's like I just wanted to make it perfect because their little faces are so darn cute. So I feel like those are the harder ones for me. But the fluffier ones are the easier ones. I gotta tell you. Yeah.
We have here guest 373. How do you price your work?
So I price I'm a little under right now, and that's only because of I want to get my portfolio pretty much up and running with the pups. But the way I work it is I make a certain price per hour. So it's more hourly. So I like, okay, well, 2 days, I make $100 a day. For me, that's good. So I go with that.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your marketing process. You mentioned several times that you have your fans, so I'm going to assume you use social media a lot. So tell me what you do to get your name out there.
So I use Instagram and Facebook all the time. So I constantly post probably 2 to 3 times a day. The reason why I completely blew up with my fan base was because of that dragon cake. And it completely went viral. So thank my lucky stars that it did, and it allowed me to kind of go out and show a lot of people my work. And it was great because it opened the doors for so many other fans and clients, and it was an awesome blessing to happen. So that's where I got lucky there. But mostly I get all of my commission and a lot of my work from Facebook, strictly Facebook. So if they like what it is or like what I'm doing, I'll get clients that way.
Do you participate in bazaars or galleries or something like that?
So no. And the only reason is because I'm commission based,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have a lot of back stock. So it's hard for me to go into, a bazaar and try to sell stuff that I don't
Mm-hmm.
really have. I was doing the Comic Cons. I did
Uh-huh.
a Comic Con and I did another con. That was a lot of fun. I took my own personal stuff, so it was all of my Docker stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and people loved it. But you know, will I do it again? Maybe with different items,
Mm-hmm.
not with my personal Docker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just all over the board with art stuff that I do. So
Right.
I'll probably figure out a way where I can just do little sculptures and
Uh-huh.
then go to them with that. So
That's cool. And it's a lot of work too, especially one of the
it
cons. I
is.
mean,
It
what?
is. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work, and depending on what you're bringing, it's. And I, of course, like I always go over the top, and I'm like, do this and do that, and so it's just too much work.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. Years ago, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I went all the way from California. So I'm based in Utah, and I went all the way to California for a designer con. And I had all these thoughts in my head, what was going to sell and not. I didn't sell one single piece. And that was devastating because
yeah,
I thought I knew the kind of audience that would be there and what they would, and I was totally wrong. The fault is on my end, not the fairy itself. But it's still, you think, okay, the amount of time, the setup that you take, it takes a
yeah.
lot from you.
It does, and it's never as it seems. So I went to one Comic Con, and the thing that sold was a small little felted animal, like creatures, and they flew off the shelves, which I didn't think that would go,
Yeah.
but they loved it, and so you never know. It's just
Yep, it's always a mystery. Let me show
it
one more
is.
cat because it's adorable. So cat lovers will say, "Oh my gosh, it's so cute! Look at this guy." Typical of a cat to sit on your couch and
Right.
start looking at you.
He was so cute. And again, he was made out of polymer clay. He had a tinfoil internal structure. With this guy, I did not use wiring for him because he was slightly smaller. And because he was laying on top of the box, I didn't need to do that. So I bulked up the cat with tinfoil. And then
Okay,
I sculpted along with that.
that's cool. How big is that cat?
He was on a 5-inch base,
Okay.
so he was probably about 4 inches.
Now, Tiffany, how do you sell your work? So you're using social media to market yourself,
Yes.
and the moment you decided to quit cake making, that's the moment the picture became viral, right?
Yeah, pretty
Which is kind of
much.
funny.
Yep.
And so how do you sell your work?
I sell my work completely by online Facebook. I do have a website, and I occasionally get, people looking for items on the website, but it's only because they saw me on Facebook. So for me, I have a lot more followers on Facebook than I do on Instagram. So I have a huge amount of people that follow, which allows me to sell easily on that. Do I use do I use the boosting thing, or do I pay for advertising? I do not. I should, and maybe that would get a lot more, but right now I'm not at the point where I need to do that.
Yeah, or you would be
So,
disappointed. There's two sides to that.
yeah.
It's interesting because I belong to a lot of groups, especially here in town. And so I know a lot of artists. And there are tons of them that they do not want to use Facebook for all reasons, including, the breaches that they happen. But what I see as a business owner is that we have a high concentration of artists on Facebook right now, and a high concentration of buyers there as well. So we see more and more artists that are making a living by
Yeah.
connecting with them on this platform.
Yeah, this platform seems to be my go-to. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of you're going to get a lot of people that are just asking, and there's going to be a lot of people that are just strange. And you get that with anything, so you just have to filter that client, not clientele, but you got to filter those people out. But 9 out of 10 times my clients are coming from Facebook. So.
Do you have a specific age that makes your ideal client, or you get all across the board?
I get all across the board, but mostly I get between probably 30 and 50. So between 30 and 50, a lot of the people are coming to me because their pets have passed away, and they saw my pieces, and maybe they like the way that my price structure is, and how I get paid. So it's not a huge commitment, and it allows them to have time to save up for the other half. But I would say probably within that age
range.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, I know you like to also do other things. I've seen some drawings that you make. So what other things do you use to create?
So I do draw, and I use I've been doing the doodle a night kind of attitude, where I wanted to get better at drawing. So every night I post a doodle or a drawing. And I try to get my fans to kind of do it with me, so I'm not the only one doing it. And then I also do painting. I paint on purses and bags. I paint on all kinds of little things. And besides sculpting, what else do I do? I mold and cast certain things depending on what it is. And yeah, so I'm kind of everything. I don't really, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, because I do so much. It's hard to keep my focus.
Last week we had Stephanie Traw, and she was saying that she defines herself as a tinker, because she likes to play with everything, and she's in peace with that. So I think for most artists, it's a way to explore and to give a breathing time to your brain as well.
Yeah. Exactly. I definitely feel like it allows me not to get claustrophobic or feel like I'm cornered, because when I'm cornered, that's when I will be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So it allows me to do whatever I feel like doing, and I really enjoy that.
So having so many interests, what keeps your creativity in focus?
Well, I don't really have. I have my days that I am not focused at all. I'm not going to lie. It's tough, but because I work on a commission and a time schedule, it keeps me focused. So I know that I need to get certain things done during a particular week. When I'm not like at night, if I'm doing, I might be in my studio and I'll be, tinkering and mad scientist kind of stuff, that's all personal stuff. So it's no pressure. So I can be very I can be not focused at that point. So
got it. You mentioned you have a little kid, right?
I do.
And do you have a specific place in the house where you create, like you have a studio? Or
I do. Okay. I do. I have an office, just another room in the house, and I have all of my paints, all of my tools, all of my stuff everywhere. So there'll be times where I make my way downstairs into the kitchen, and it's not. He's like, get back up.
So not allow the whole family to go and interrupt whenever they want.
Oh, they do. They
Yeah.
Yeah, my son comes in, and it's fun because he, it allows him to be creative too. So it gets him motivated to kind of draw or to do something creative. So seeing mom doing it all the time, opens that door a little bit.
Okay. What's your advice for people that are thinking, okay, I'm going to give the jump. I don't know if I should give the jump. Maybe I should keep my day job. What's your advice for them?
My advice is that you only live once and you should do it. If you feel like you can do it, try it. it's not like you can't get another job. You know, if try it for 3 months, 6 months, give it a go. And if you find that, you know, you're just not making it, or you just can't sustain yourself and your family, then I would say, you know, get a part-time job, and you know, that allows you the money, so it's not so much, you know, so much pressure. But you know, it's scary. It's a scary jump, but you know, if you don't take it, then you'll never know. So, you know, at some point you have to just believe that you can do it and trust the universe and take the jump. Take the leap.
That's good. That's good advice. I agree with you. We live once. Why wake up every morning and say, I hate what I do, right? That's the worst feeling. What I would say, though, it's before you decide, oh, it didn't work for me, I jumped and, you know, I fell, is besides the creation, besides making the pieces, do you know what you have to do to sell, and do you know what you have to do to market yourself? Like Tiffany said, she posts consistently on at least 2 social media platforms every day. So you do have a process, correct, for marketing and for selling. Because if you just think, because I'm talented, therefore I'm going to sell, you may be fooling yourself, right?
Right. And there's a lot of artists out there that won't use social media. And then, you know, how are they going to be seen? Because it's a double-edged sword, you know, but it allows people to see my work in a completely different, you know, country. So that's exciting to me.
Well, we have here just now Miriam from Australia. We know we have people from all over the world. And it's easy today. It's not easy the way we do, but anybody has a cell phone and can create a live video and reach a much larger audience that they could ever think of without spending millions of dollars.
Right, and it actually opens up a lot of doors for making money doing other things. I mean, if you're a sculptor, that's great, but you can hone your market. You can you know, find your people.
Yeah, find your people. That's the final words. Find your people. Now, Tiffany, if people want to contact you, get to know more about what you create, you really hundreds of pieces you have created already. What do they have to do?
So they can go to my Facebook. It's just under my name. It's Tiffany Flanagan. I have a personal Facebook, but I also have a fan page. They can go to either one. I would suggest going to my personal one and just follow. But then I also have Instagram. There's some pictures that I don't post on Facebook that will go on Instagram. My Instagram account is TL Flanagan Art. So they can kind of go over there and check it out too. And they should,
of course. And don't forget that Tiffany is also coming to Curious Mondo in April. I believe it's April 15, 16, and 17. And you will be sculpting dogs, correct? Yes, correct. And of course, we already have the registration page for you to watch free at curiousmondo.com. So check for that. It's going to be super fun days. I can't wait for that.
I'm so excited.
That's going to be awesome. Thank you so much, Tiffany. I think you have inspired a lot of people. And
it's always so.
Yes, you did. And it's always good. Personally, I think good to see artists that do take the jump and face whatever comes their way, because it shows people that it's possible, right? To do what you love, create beautiful things, and make money in the process.
Correct.
Right? Okay. It is. Thank you so much, Tiffany, and thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
For being here with us and participating and submitting your comments and questions. We really appreciate that. Remember, this podcast stays wherever you're watching, so you can share and you can tell other people, come see this girl, Tiffany. Look at these amazing dogs and cats and everything else that she creates. So tell them to come take a look. And don't forget to join me next week, same time, the same place you are in, with creativityinfocus.com. I'm Shahar Boyayan. Until next week.